All right, so last week, it's October, and last week was the Sportfishing Association's annual summit. They call it ASA Summit, and it was in Sandestin Beach at the Hilton there at the Sandestin Beach Golf Resort. And it's a 3-day event. I had never been to it before. I've been in the industry a while and want to continue to get more and more involved. And so it was recommended to me when I was at the Bassmaster Classic to go and to attend, and so I did. And it's a 3-day event. It went from October 3rd through the 6th. And I'll tell you, it was very surprising and impactful, the amount of things that I got from it. I knew, kind of through the industry, kind of who was going to be there. I had kind of my ideas of what and how it was going to go, but I will say that the ASA put on a fantastic event. It was a balance of free time and also informational subcommittees, lectures, dinners, and event and things like that. So I'm gonna. I was very, very happy with the way that it was run. Run very, very well. I'm not a member of ASA at the moment. Just as we're getting going, but it definitely gives me, and you don't have to be a member to go to the summit. I found that out, and just kind of, let's jump in and let's see where and how we can get involved. So I'm gonna kind of just walk through what that week looked like, and how what I took from it, what I got from it, and then just kind of what all the different things that they offered at the event. So if you're interested in going to the event or attending the event or nervous about going to the event, I'll tell you it is well worth the time and resources to be there for what they provide to you, what they give to you, and what ultimately you might be able to take from it. And so that's what this video is ultimately going to kind of unpack. So the first day was Tuesday, the 3rd, and when you show up to registration, they'll give you a Sportfishing Summit book that kind of gives you and outlines all of the agenda. It gives you for each day. It's going to give you all the people that are involved, whether it's the keynote speakers or the members of the government affairs, obviously the overall organization of the Sportfishing Association. So the executive office, the government affairs, all the different committees, financing and membership, and all their contact information. So if I had a question for Glenn Hughes, president of ASA, regarding an issue of ICAST or anything else that I feel like he should be aware of or that I would want more clarification on, I have his email and phone number to be able to reach out. And that's really one of the things that I took away was the accessibility of a lot of these members of ASA. And I don't think that's necessarily very widely known how accessible these members are and growing this industry and trying to do anything and everything they can for the industry. So that was in the kind of day one registration. So you come in on a Tuesday, the October 3rd, you have the registration. They have a board meeting. They kind of kick off with a board meeting, and all the board members that are on the ASA board, these are kind of C-level executives from across the industry that make up the board from various manufacturers and retailers and distributors that help guide ASA in their direction and what they focus on an annual basis. So I sat in on that board meeting. I was very informative, kind of talking about what the issues and the concerns with the industry. They talk a lot about the kind of government affairs and what's happening, whether it be the right whale issue, lead, red snapper closures, California fisheries and water. There's a very large conversations that are happening that impact and affect a lot of the brands and a lot of the industry. That's what's happening at this event. It is cards on the table. Here's what we want to discuss. We talk about it. We vote on it. And obviously, I'm not a part of the board, but they allow you to sit in, to listen in, and kind of sit quietly on the outskirts of the room. And so I sat in on that board meeting, and then after that, they go through. That was about a 3-hour board meeting, which was again, I'll break that down kind of in another video. And then they had a welcome reception kind of on the sunset deck outside of the hotel, overlooking the water. And this is kind of one of those things that I didn't necessarily expect as much as they did, is they had a lot of that kind of free time to be able to converse with a lot of the people in the industry. Now, if you're an introvert and you don't like walking into rooms that you don't know anybody about, I'd say you need to probably have somebody with you that can open conversations. But it gives you a lot of that opportunity to see somebody, whether it's an executive from a brand that you want to help with, or it's a distributor that you do business with. It gives you that one-on-one time that you don't necessarily have at other events like ICAST, because of retail buyers and other initiatives that are happening at that event, or the Bassmaster Classic, because it's a consumer event and there's a lot of consumers and it's really, really busy. And so the reception was, a really good opportunity to be able to sit and have conversations that you wouldn't necessarily be able to, because everybody honestly was very warm, very welcoming. I knew a lot of people there, but there's also a lot of people that I don't know. Faces I know, but not necessarily people that I've ever done business with, or have ever had an opportunity to meet. And sitting there with hors d'oeuvres and a beer, it kind of lets you kind of have some of those conversations about what you do and why you're here and that. So that was a big something that I took from day one, which was that reception, which was very it gives you a lot of opportunity. Whether you're capitalizing on the opportunities or not, that's up to you. But it gave you those opportunities for sure. Wednesday, the 4th. So they had they served breakfast, lunch, and then also dinner with the event. So again, every breakfast, every lunch, breaks, things like that. It gives you that opportunity to be able to have that one-on-one interaction, or just be able to seek out new opportunities. So they had breakfast, and then after breakfast, they break out into general sessions. And so the general sessions kind of went in, and this was a big ballroom where everybody was kind of converged in the ballroom, and they had different people speaking. So chairman of the board, of the ASA board, director Phil Lillo, and Glenn Hughes presented to everybody kind of a welcome to the summit, and then they started diving in to the numbers. And so when I say dive into the numbers, there's a group called Southwick and our BFF. And so Rob Southwick, who runs the company, does a lot of the analytics for and Southwick Associates for the industry, trends, reporting data over. Just they pour over the data. And one of the other big things that they'll present as they're going into the overall look into the future, analyzing the numbers, especially after we've been going in 2019, which was crazy, 2020, 21, 22, and then now into 23, trying to find out, okay, where is level and what what is the kind of the forward-looking outlook look like? They give you this kind of trade insight market report when you check in at the beginning of the registration as well. In this report is a if you're into data like most guys are, most successful people are within this industry, it starts to give you and break out at a very high level kind of where those industry trends are. They take whether it's fishing license sales and how that's trending year over year from 2014 to 2023. Looking at where those the overall fishing licenses sales, which license sales is obviously is people participating in fishing and having to buy their fishing licenses. So obviously in 2020 we saw a huge 10% increase over 2019 in license sales. 2021 and 22 had a significant dip of 4.4% and 6%. But then in 2023, they've seen, and this is what's the month? I think it's Jan through June. In 2023, a 1.3% increase in licensed sales in 2023. So really coming out of COVID, everybody's kind of getting back into it. 21 and 22, we saw they're seeing a 1.3% increase in licensed sales. And so that's just a really good barometer that I see and that a lot of people kind of look at to see that what's that participation. Outside of that, I mean, this book is full of different data, equipment summaries, and sales. Overall tackle sales in 2022 was $8 billion overall in the industry. They go into shopper behavior and how they're shopping both in freshwater and saltwater. So you can hit it at a pretty high level, a 30,000-foot level, but you can also break it down and say, okay, well, what is the saltwater rods and reels breakout within brick and mortar and online sales, and go down and look to say, okay, well, 76% of rod and reel sales are happening still at brick and mortar and 11% overall online, and then it breaks it down even further. So there's this book. If you're going to take kind of one thing away of what the time and energy to go to the event, this insight book is a pretty significant resource talking about targeted species, top social media influencers, both in media and social media. What people are actually looking for when they want to go into the outdoor television programming, what's their reasonings behind what they find, whether it's meaningful and average sportsman, or why they engage through what's the important attributes of choosing a TV program. There's just data that can help you grow your business pretty significantly. With some of these trends and showing you how the market is trending. It goes through and breaks down also top categories, top imports, import categories. It talks about different equipment sales. I mean, Southwick & Associates has a huge database, and they've been doing it for years and years and years. And so being able to get that information and see some of those trends coming out of such a turbulent period in the fishing industry was awesome. But being able to kind of dive into those numbers and seeing what is showing. Now, are they perfect? Not every number is. It doesn't necessarily always they take into effect some of the independent stores, which is obviously harder to capture. But from a general purpose, seeing where the direction of the ship is going, they do a phenomenal job. So being able to sit down and listen to that presentation by Rob Southwick and the RBFF, which is the Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation Senior Vice President, was Stephanie was awesome to kind of sit through and we'll pull some snippets and put some information out there that we found. After that, about 10 o'clock, we went through the policy and management and how recreational fishing fares from a government standpoint. So the ASA Government Affairs, Mike Leonard, provided an overview of all the top priorities, what's happening in the industry, the right whale issues, the closures of red snapper, both regionally and big picture stuff when it comes to all freshwater, saltwater, both coasts, and gave a very high level brief of what the top policy issues are that are impacting the Sportfishing Association. So one of the hard parts I know for a lot of people is, well, it doesn't affect my lake, it doesn't affect my fishing, but all of these policies, whether they are participations or their policies for closures or speed limits on bodies of water, closures for bag limits, the conversation is always being had, and knowing that there's an association like ASA behind you that has the infrastructure and the people fighting for the waters, your ability to fish and your ability to recreationally participate in this industry is something that I took away. I took away from it. After lunch, they talked about they had Sid Dubrin, who talked about the Gen Tech and kind of artificial intelligence and how that's kind of impacting the industry. Now, let me get his where's his little bio. So he's a chair, Department of English at the University of Florida. He also hosts a fishing professor podcast and speaks all over the world when it comes to Gen AI and how that's kind of impacting. He's also written a few books, author of talking about generative AI, a guide to educational and AI and writing. And so he's been a professor since 1997 at the University of Florida, and is very knowledgeable when it comes to this topic. And so he kind of led the discussion, led the conversation of how it is impacting this industry, how to use it, what to be on the lookout for. Obviously the big fear with the whole Gen AI thing is it going to take my job? And I think he made a very good point. It's like, it's not going to take your job, but the person who knows how to use it is going to take your job. And so being able to understand it, to be able to use it, and how you're going to use it within your company, within your organization, within your brand, and what you're trying to either sell or provide from a service is really important. And kind of breaking that down and giving some tools on how to use that to maximize your efficiencies is huge. And so that was kind of the morning session. We had lunch. And again, lunch gives you that time to kind of talk through and sit down with people that you are looking either to meet or just to have that free time. After that, on Wednesday after lunch, they broke into kind of subcommittees. So they have ASA kind of breaks up their committees into subcommittees, and then you can, as a member or as somebody who is looking to become a member, you can go in and sit in these subcommittees. And so their committee meetings, they have kind of subcommittee boards that go over different areas within the American Sportfishing Association's kind of agendas, and then they talk about different areas. So one of the subcommittees, I mean, there's a kind of a bunch of them that you can get involved in. There's called R3, which is like recruitment, retention, to try to help people get into ASA and be a part of ASA. Market insight was another one. Membership, public relations and media, government affairs, trade commission, and saltwater subcommittee. So there's these subcommittees that you can get involved with. If you don't like how things are being run, you don't like how the floor is set up at ASA or at ICAST, or you have an issue that you need or want some support on, that this is the place to do it. This is the place to go and get involved. so that you can let your voice be heard, and have an opinion on, because this is where they're making those motions, they're making those agendas for the next year, to be able to either vote on and make some discussion points on, and so a lot of it was talking about stuff that they had worked on last year, and then discussion points of what they are going to be discussing and talking through, and what their agendas are, forward looking. So I sat in on the market insight subcommittee, and then I also then sat in on the government affairs subcommittee, because I wanted to learn and understand what they're focusing on, and what ultimately the dollars that are going to from ASA and being a part of the organization are ultimately fighting. They had and to end the day, they had a saltwater subcommittee. So they have a saltwater subcommittee for the West Coast, and then one for the East Coast. They have one for freshwater, which gets into day 3, which would have been Thursday, which I'll go through. But saltwater subcommittee for the West is talking a lot about obviously the water closures and salmon fisheries, and a lot of the issues that are having out west, out in Oregon and California, with a lot of the dams and things. And so wasn't really relevant to stuff that I am here in Florida, but at the same time, it's all impacting this fishing industry in one way or another. After all that was done, and the full day of meetings and subcommittee things, they got into we had an event at a restaurant, where again it was just kind of an open bar and food, be able to kind of close it down and be able to sit down and talk and work through different things that came up through the day, but again gives you that opportunity to really network your brand, your business, and that was one of the kind of the things that I took from it, that I really impacted, or is going to impact my overall business. So Thursday, the 5th, so they kind of flip-flopped the meetings. So then on Thursday morning, they did all the subcommittee meetings, and so you can sit in from 9 to noon, all the different subcommittees. So they have saltwater subcommittee East Coast. They have a marketing, trade, and consumer shows. So all the different shows, ICAST and stuff like that. They have freshwater subcommittee. They have a retailer subcommittee, a finance subcommittee, sustainability subcommittee, and then a government affairs a full government affairs subcommittee as well. I sat in on the retailer subcommittee, and then I also I sat in on the saltwater East subcommittee. So they're talking about the big conversation they're talking about on the saltwater East is the right whale, and the speed restrictions, and kind of what's happening, why it's happening, the lack of data that's actually driving some of this with NOAA, and why some of the issues that they're having is just bad data, and so it really kind of outside of getting that Instagram, Facebook kind of here's the 30 seconds, they really dove into why some of these things were happening, and then an ASA really supporting their commitment to these fisheries, and being able to fight against some of this misinformation for some of the decisions that are being made that are going to affect billions and billions of dollars of the industry, and so that was really interesting to sit in on. And then I sat in on the retailer subcommittee to just because of my background within retail and understanding, it was more focused on how to get retailers more involved in ASA. It wasn't as much of a here's kind of the data behind it, and here's some POS results, and more. It wasn't kind of here's the data and what we're seeing. It was more of how do we help recruit some additional retailers and buyers and get them involved within the industry to be a part of ASA. And then, so then that was before lunch. And then Thursday afternoon, they had a Patrick Luce, which is a ITR of economics. And so this was a really cool session, and I dictated it because there was just so much data and so much information, and took a lot of screenshots of what he was talking about, because this really dove into the economy and what we're seeing from the economy, and how it is translates into the sport fishing, the outdoor industry, leisure industry, and more specifically into the fishing and hunting and outdoor sports. And so it was pretty. He gave a outlook of what he sees, whether it comes with what's happening here in October with the tuition, and how that may slow down sales in the fourth quarter. Got down into detail on that, talking about the outlook in 2024, 25 in the housing market, and what they're seeing. Obviously the amount of debt that the average consumer is holding, how that correlates with their purchasing habits. I mean, there was just so much data and details that he provided and went through, both at a high level and and with the detail, that it was, if you were gonna, for me, if I was gonna sit through 1 hour meeting in this whole 3 days, that was the meeting that I took a lot of great information from, that I'll be using, helping my clients and customers. After that, about 2:30, they had Don Unser, who is more on observations on the consumer and retail side, so on the spending. So taking the, coming out of with Patrick on the economic piece, then diving into more of what's happening at POS, and showing kind of that consumer trends with Circana. So Circana is an organization that works with a lot of the retailers, and showing the trends of the industry, from purchasing habits to what people are buying, what they're spending their money on, how much they're spending their money on what categories, and really diving into those habits, and whether it's men versus women, the ethnic breakdown, the regional breakdown, purchasing habits by category. I mean, there's numbers that you can, obviously they spend their whole life's work developing, and then being able to pull those numbers for us to be able to then analyze and take back to our organizations, and use to help benefit the overall industry. So that was another, probably would be my second priority. If I said that I was to hit one or two, that would be hitting that talk and listening to how those that data is overall impacting the $3 trillion of consumer spending annually, and so that was awesome. And then Thursday night, they finished with a reception and awards dinner for everybody that was there, and then Friday they had a board meeting in the morning, and then kind of broke off. So really it was Wednesday, Tuesday, kind of on the boardwalk, if you will. Wednesday, a lot of meat on Wednesday, a lot of meat on Thursday, and then took off on Friday. So I was able to kind of get there, and took me about 7.5 hour drive from Stewart over there. And I would definitely, whether you're driving, whether you're flying, something that I would recommend, this ASA Summit is something that I'll definitely attend again, and will use the information and the details and the connections that I made there throughout my year, and going forward. So if you're thinking about going to the ASA, again, I'm not a member of ASA yet. I'm still kind of kicking the tires. I've been obviously with ICAST and everything else that I do within the industry, but it definitely painted a really strong picture to be able to be involved, get involved in some of these subcommittee meetings, and being able to have a voice. One thing that I'd probably take away as a negative to it, as somebody coming in who's not involved in ASA or it was new to this whole thing as a summit, was probably day one having all the newbies, kind of that freshman class, come in and doing a little orientation, so that you kind of could look around and say, okay, that guy's new, he's new, and you're all kind of struggling, with where, how, and what to get involved, how the process works, how the subcommittees work, where to kind of plug in. So I'd say a 15 to 20 minute, 30 minute kind of orientation for newbies would have been probably one of the things that would have helped just me or anybody else that I kind of talked to at lunch or the breakouts that said that they weren't sure where to go or what to do. So overall, though, ASA did a great job with the event, and I'll definitely do it again. But that would be one kind of caveat or one thing that I would say that they could probably add to future summits is to hey, if this is your first time here, come over here, let's just connect everybody, and this is how kind of the rules of the road work. But overall, man, I'll tell you what, for a 3-day event in a beautiful place. I'd never been to the Panhandle and Sandestin area, so it was great, and the information that you get, and again, just some of the market material, and the insights that they give you are second to none. So hats off to Glenn and the team for doing that, and I'll definitely attend again. If you have any questions or anything that comes up from this video, please reach out to me. My website, dreisbachsons.com, my email, mitch@dreisbachsons.com, and you can, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions and kind of give you my perspective from the week. But with that, we are onward and upward. And I wish everybody God bless, and we'll catch at you again soon. Take care.